All right, so hello everybody. Thanks for joining. We've invited you here to discuss solar modules and how Anza's data and technology can allow you to easily increase project profits, reduce risk, and save you time. This webinar today will feel a bit more bite-sized in length. We're trying to keep it focused yet informative. I'm going to keep it to less than 30 minutes so we can all fit into our own busy schedules. The agenda for today, we're going to do a brief on Anza, talk about our pricing philosophy, and then do actual demos on our platform. My name is Trevor Dawson. I'll be your host for the webinar today. I'm the solar engineering manager here at Anza. I've been in solar for a little over 8 years. Previously at Borrego Solar, which was a national EPC that actually incubated Anza. When I was at Borrego, my time was spent all on the pre-construction team, the focus on layout optimization and racking diligence. And before we dive in, yes, we are already recording this session, and we're going to send out the slides and the recording to those that have registered afterwards. If I stick to the schedule, this should take about 15 minutes, and then we'll have about 10 for Q&A afterwards. So along the way, please, punch in your questions into the webinar here. My team who's supporting will help kind of organize those so we can roll right in. Great. All right, so what is Anza? Well, Anza is a new solar and storage procurement platform that applies data and technology to help module and storage buyers. We help them quickly see all the product options, allow you to easily compare options based on total lifetime value with all the data at your fingertips. We help you execute confidently so that you can beat your budget, increase project profits, and reduce risk. Basically, no more time wasted chasing down pricing and data from suppliers. We've been in your shoes. We understand the challenges you're up against, and we know you have multi-million-dollar decisions to make. And so Anza is providing the tools so that you can make the best decisions for your project and your company. I'm going to talk next about Anza's pricing philosophy and specifically the effective dollar per watt metric. The Anza effective dollar per watt metric allows you to rapidly compare all module options based on lifetime value and not just price. The effective dollar per watt is equal to the purchase price of the module minus the BOS savings minus the production benefit. Through this insight, we can help you beat your budget and generate more revenues for your company quickly. We'll speak to this. We'll kind of keep the conversation going on effective price as we dive into the demo. So now we're going to flip over to the platform and do, as I said, kind of talk a bit more about the effective price and do a couple of examples. So let me see if y'all can see this screen now, right? Assuming so. Okay. So here is the example. This is if you are an Anza customer and you're coming into our platform, this would be your landing page. This is like the project dashboard. It lists all of your projects. For the sake of the demo, I'm going to pick on this 250 megawatt tracker project in Texas. And so the first thing that I want to call attention to is we are in a public webinar. This is the demo environment. And so the module names and supplier names have all been redacted here. If you are our customer and you're under NDA, you do get full access to all of our data and technology. So all this stuff will be shown and is all right at your fingertips like this. The first thing I want to just highlight is that we are making good on showing you all the options. A little dizzying perhaps, but we have 55 options on this project specifically. Every option is ranked from lowest to highest effective dollar per watt. Every option allows you to click into it and actually see like a super spec sheet, shows you the availability 10 quarters out of that module. Again, the name would be here in the real deal, and you see key specs and metrics for warranty, mechanical, electrical specs, and you're allowed to download the data sheet and pan files. Super neat stuff. So again, going back to the effective dollar per watt, the top choice here is your best value option. And the way you read this from left to right is you look at the purchase price of the module minus a penny BOS savings minus a penny 1.9 cents of production benefit equals 21.8 cents effective dollar per watt. At this point, you might be wondering 1.7 savings of BOS compared to what, right? And so we are actually comparing every single module on our ranking sheet to what's called the Anza reference module. The Anza reference module is a 550 perk. It's a 550 perk right here. It's 1134 by 2279 millimeters. It's basically an average market module. It has average market BOS and production savings. And so you can see that evident not just by this module, but if you look further down the line here, you can see a couple 550 perks on the board. They have 0 BOS savings, and they actually have negative production benefits because basically either the warranty degradation or maybe the pan file is actually worse than the average market module on our platform today. So that's a little bit more about the effective price. The next thing I want to show you guys is what you can do with the pencil icon. So the pencil icon allows you to edit your project details. When you click into this, you can do things like change the system size, the timing of deliveries, the type of project, fixed or tracker. In this case, I'm going to pretend that I know more about my PPA pricing, and then it's actually maybe 4.5 cents. And I'm interested in a 30-year project term and cash flow analysis rather than a 25. What happens when I click save is it's going to trigger the engine to run. And what's happening now is it's actually fetching all the latest and greatest module pricing and availability data. It's running a cost model, production model, and a finance model, and that's what's computing those BOS and production benefit savings. And so what I want to highlight here is what changed and what did not change. So what I just did not change the module purchase price. It's still 24.7 cents. The BOS savings is also unchanged. It's still a penny, but the production benefit got a 0.5 cent better. Why? Well, because I made the value of energy, I increased the value of energy, and I extended the project life term. And so now we have a revised effective price of 21.2 cents. The next thing I'm going to do is take us deeper. So this project detail page is all about showing a lot of the financial value and how you see all the options and can compare lifetime financial value. I'm next going to take us into the advanced view. The advanced view allows you to get full access to all of Anza's data right at your fingertips and allows you to explore and compare modules even deeper based upon risk and technical specs and stuff like that. So if you are in Texas, what are you most concerned about? Well, I think we all are probably agreeing at this point, hail is mission critical and we need to find a hail resilient module. Our data allows us to do that. We give you access to a whole bunch of different data. I'm going to kind of talk to it as I move through it. We give you access to supply chain data, counterparty data, and technical and product specs. This data table acts very much like Excel in the way that I just unchecked those default items, and I'm going to check on different things that allow us to compare modules on hail resiliency. My boss is also interested in an efficient module with an attractive warranty degradation. And let's just pretend I haven't bought my EPC out and I want to be sort of understanding what the form factor size is of the modules that I'm looking at so I can tell my EPCs how to design, do their pre-sale designs. Okay, so hail resilience comes in different ways. We've seen it actually both ways from insurance providers. Some require a certain hail test. And so we allow you to quickly sort on hail test, and you can see options that have achieved, 45 millimeter or above is kind of the watermark for insurance, where they kind of see a module as hail resilience if it has a 45 millimeter or above hail test. In this case, you can cross-reference that with what's over here is the effective price rank. And you can see, yeah, these first two options have great hail tests, but they're kind of high in the effective price. So I'm going to skip those for now. Just to kind of move us quickly, I would say, these three options are your more interesting options to consider with this filter criteria applied. The next thing we're going to do is look at front side glass. And because we've seen the RETC and the PVAL webinars, we know that 3.2 millimeter glass is 2x as hail resilience to glass breakage than 2 millimeter glass modules. And sometimes it's a hard requirement from insurance, right? And so we want to just explore what 3.2 millimeter glass options are available to us. When I check that on, I now actually have I still have a ton of options available, right? If you remember, we started with 55 options. Now I'm actually looking at 16 options. that all have 3.2 millimeter glass. Just to kind of show you guys a little bit more of the functionality here, you can go in here and do things like, I only want to look at modules with a width of 1134, kind of that medium body size, plus or minus a millimeter, so my EPCs don't pull their hair out. And alas, I still have quite a lot of options, still a lot of options in sort of the rank 25 or better. So I can get even more selfish. I can apply a TopCon only technology, and that takes me down to a much more digestible list. This list is now, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 7 modules, sort of around the 25 rank list or better. I would personally write this one off at 46. And what I really want to kind of hone in here is it's less about what modules are listed here and more about the process and like the data that we're presenting to you. We've taken a list from 55 down to 7 plus the other 3 we were just looking at that had strong hail tests. You've now got a list of 10 modules that sort of check the box for hail resiliency, and you've done this very quickly inside of just a few minutes. You now got 10 series contenders you can kind of talk to your account manager about, sort of socialize internally, or what we're going to continue doing on this demo is look at the risk of those modules. So no one likes high risk module option today, right? UFLPA, AD/CVD, these types of things are kind of plaguing the solar industry. We want to block and tackle on risk. So I'm going to show you guys how we enable you to do that. We're going to put UFLPA, AD/CVD, and a couple other things into the data table here. What I'm showing you is UFLPA, AD/CVD, counterparty risk, non-Chinese poly, non-Chinese wafers, traceability, and manufacturing location. I'm just going to, for the sake of time, I'm just going to say quickly, Anza has developed an objective risk methodology for evaluating solar module risk. Every single module in our platform gets a rating for UFLPA, AD/CVD, and counterparty. There's 5 or 6 different objective criteria that go into each one of these. We can't share the details of the criteria on this webinar, but if you're a customer of Anza's, we can. And so, by the way, if you're on this call and you're a customer, please reach out and inquire about what the criteria is. But basically, for the sake of this demo, I'm going to say we don't want anything that's a high risk module. And so I'm going to go in here and check on just low and lowest. And you can see when I took off the UFLPA, when I checked on the UFLPA, the list got really, really small. And what's more, the modules on the board, it's less obvious because the module names are not on here, but none of them are very attractive, effective prices. They're all like 28 rank and worse. And so now you can kind of weigh your must-haves with your nice-to-haves. You can get a little smarter about our risk criteria, and maybe you decide that you can relax on the UFLPA one a little bit and accept a medium risk because you know that you can actually contractually obligate the supplier to use non-Chinese poly. So we can check this on. We can say, hey, supplier, you have to supply our module with non-Chinese poly. And I only want to look at modules that have done their homework and done a traceability audit already. And so this allows you to sort of block and tackle on your UFLPA risk in a way that leaves you open to more attractive pricing. And so now you can see, now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 modules, and several of them are the same modules from the hail rating. You could even go further. Now from here, you can look at manufacturing location. You could sort of get clever and pull back in that front side glass requirement that we had, populate that with a 3.2 millimeter, and you're down to 4 options. The point of what I'm trying to articulate here is less about what these options are and more just about how quickly you can explore the data and distill the list of modules from 55 to 10 down to 4 series contenders so you can get more and more serious about going into your shortlist process. Anza has a very helpful, very detailed shortlist process that we can talk about on another webinar coming soon. But basically the point now is to just take your list from a large funnel down to a small list of serious contenders so that then you can go firm up pricing and firm up contracts. And so basically to wrap this up, like the most important thing here is that we're saving you time by showing you all these options, showing you all the important data so you can block and tackle on risk and project specific criteria so that you can make the best decision for your project and for your company. I'm going to conclude the demo at this time and maybe pause and see, Josh, maybe you can help me with some questions. Do we have any questions at this point?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much, Trevor. Hey, everyone. My name is Josh Blisking. I am a product marketing manager here at Anza. Unfortunately, I have to leave my camera off right now. I was having some technical difficulties right before this webinar. Apologies about that. But prior to Anza, I also worked at Borrego for a few years, worked very closely with Trevor in some very similar projects. And yes, we have gotten a few questions here on the webinar. Trevor, could you elaborate a little bit more about what goes into those BOS savings and the production numbers that you were flashing on your screen earlier?
Yeah, great question, and absolutely. These models are pretty near and dear to my heart, and so it's going to be tough to be brief about them. But what I will say, so what I will say is there is some helpful text here on the platform. The BOS savings is basically looking at the labor material costs related to foundation material labor, racking material labor, DC electrical material labor, and module installation. And we are acknowledging that it's not an exhaustive list of EPC BOS, but it is the list of BOS that's most impacted by module selection. And again, the point of our platform is really not a pricing tool. It's a module to module comparative tool. And so what we are doing on the BOS side is actually creating a basis of design for every single module. We're pulling in local labor wages, wind and snow loads for this site, and we're start triangulating on a bunch of different racking quotes and knowledge from talking to racking vendors. We're getting real-time wire and conduit pricing and building up a bottoms-up cost model. On the production side, we're looking at the value of energy or the PPA rate, the discount rate, the project terms, the ITC. We're looking at the warranty degradation. All these modules have Anza pan files based upon either manufacturing or third-party pan files. And we're running a production model that continues to be 0.2% or less off from PV-Syst. And then we're running a finance model on top of that in order to run, in this case, a 30-year cash flow analysis and bring that all back into a net present value that you're seeing here as the production benefit. Happy to, I guess, hopefully that answers the question askers enough, but if you guys have more, interest, we love getting under the hood of our models. And once you're under NDA, like we'll show you all the Excel and all that kind of stuff later time.
Great, thank you. Yeah, that definitely answers the question. We had another question just come in, wondering what the full list of qualitative criteria Anza has compiled for each module and vendor.
The full list of qualitative. Oh, okay. So are you speaking to the risk things specifically, or the full breadth of the data?
Both. Maybe we could flash all of the columns that we have access to, and then also maybe dive into a little bit about not what each of them means, but just some of the information that we have on that and how we might calculate some of that.
Great. Yes. Yeah, so today we have about 30 data items that a user can choose from here in this this sort of Excel tabulated data format. The data is categorized into supply chain, counterparty, and product specs. And so product specs include a lot of things you're going to find on a data sheet, length, width, depth, but also warranty degradation, front side glass. We're getting hail tests from the module suppliers. We're also getting racking compatibility approval letters from the suppliers for ATI and Nextracker. Quality audits. These are things like PVAL or RETSI's, PVAL's PQP or RETSI's Thresher report. Anza has pre-negotiated SPAs or supply purchase agreements with every single supplier on our platform. And those we're kind of extracting key data out of those negotiated SPAs. So users can see things like down deposit or payment terms. And then in terms of like counterparty risk, it's really interesting these days with factories that are popping up in the US. For example, I'll just speak to like the counterparty risk that we're analyzing. If you have a factory in the US and therefore you have $50 million of assets or more, you are inherently going to be lower risk to contract with than someone that doesn't have that, because like you have a path to make sure they honor the contract, right, by way of suit. Let's see, back up here in supply chain, we're continuously tracking the UFLPA law and the AD/CVD criteria. And you can see some of the criteria that goes into those risk scores is actually available here. So BOM pieces, whether or not the supplier or the module is vertically integrated, audits, and where the country of origin is for assembly. Also, by the way, like, don't just listen to me. Like, part of it is like we're trying to put the data in the customer's hands. And so there's a synopsis of all these data and some of the context over here on the info button that explains at least the high level behind each of the data.
Great, great. Thank you, Trevor. I believe that those are all the questions that we had come in today. Thank you so much.
Great. Yeah, well, thanks for everyone for listening and joining in. I hope you guys took away some of the key points about how Anza is, organizing all this data and making it rapidly available right at your fingertips. So thank you much.